detoxify the brain of heavy metals, poisons, and other toxins, all of which, when detoxed, make way for optimal brain function. ARII is an herbal formulation for anyone needing to detox, and specifically for anyone with autism. ARII has not only been freeing those with autism, but also those taking care of loved ones with it. Caretakers can breathe again, and autistic behaviors dissipate. This formulation is an herbal blend which is produced in small batches, containing only the cleanest and most vibrant ingredients. Because the individual ingredients are uniquely extracted, gently and naturally by the sun, they can be absorbed directly into the bloodstream within seconds, via the soles of the feet or the navel. This method avoids the digestive tract and has proven more effective than pills or capsules. This is a 2-step program requiring a 12-day detox first, which helps eliminate any heavy metals and toxins accumulated in the brain. This is then followed by autism support and is recommended to use for as long as results are desired. The formulation contains no chemicals, CO2, or solvents, ensuring that it's pure and natural. Are you treating with ARII?
Welcome to the Love and Action Show with me, Alpa Soni, spiritual badass, and one of my favorite humans on this earth, Mel K. What an absolute pleasure to have you back. Almost 2 years on. I got it wrong. 1 year on, I said. Our last show was on the 11th of June in 2021. So,
wow. Oh my. But we've seen each other in real life before. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I don't really, because I haven't been on YouTube in so long. I'm so happy that to be back and so happy for you and to see you. You still are, but in the beginning of this journey, we were such kindred spirits, and we both kind of really bonded on the idea that we could do something, that we could make a difference, that, our voices for whoever heard them would be used for good and awakening people. And I think 3 years on, it seems like it's worked out that way.
What an incredible journey. And I remember we used to do our weekly shows, and Mel, you've offered so much, especially in the geopolitical arena, in this movement. You're an icon, and you've been touring around the States and just doing incredible stuff. But I know it's not been easy. This whole 3 years have really tested all of us to the core. And I'd love to just hear what's been going on with you. You've not been doing many shows because you've been touring like the whole of the States. So tell us, let's start with that. What have you been up to in the last 1 year? Apart from seeing me twice.
I know, thank God. I can't wait to see you again. And honestly, it has been quite a journey. I still put up shows regularly on Rumble, but they're really interviews because I can't really do my own show as I used to all the time, especially with you and Catherine and some other amazing people, regulars, because I am on the go so much. About a year ago, a lot changed in my views of what was happening. You and I we bonded very early in real life and then on our shows. And it was kind of an awakening. I started out, as you know, in Hollywood. I'd seen a lot of this stuff happening with children and child trafficking and pedophilia and Epstein and all of that. So that was really my purview. And then it I digging and learning and realizing that the people involved were all the same people that were manipulating, not just, this world and my world, but also the nation, all nations, that it was went all the way to the top, that there's a multinational group that is also, I call them the banking cartel, that have really, I think, captured America, but the world. And we are in a very serious battle. So about a year ago, I decided that I wanted to go speak to people about that, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, our inalienable rights given by God. But bigger than that, who is the structure? Who are the people that have usurped our nations and our freedoms and our connections with each other and with God? And so speaking a lot. I speak a lot about the fraud that I believe is the United Nations and all of their octopus tentacle groups like WEF and IMF and World Health Organization, and they're all global governance is what they call themselves. So if you're looking up New World Order, One World Government, you'll get conspiracy theory. If you look up global governance and look at all of their sites, you're going to see that's exactly what they're talking about. And that's their plan, the Great Reset, Fourth Industrial Rev, all of it. So that's real eye-opening to people. And then when I did start going on the road and had to stop doing shows, our regular show, it was because I was finding candidates all over the nation in America that I wanted to help. At least it's very, in America, the election system isn't just broken in the end game. It's broken from the beginning. So I wanted to help people get through the primaries and get on the ballots first and foremost, then to get out there. It's so expensive that it should not be in America to run for office at all. So basically anywhere that I found a candidate that I connected with, and it's big people like Carrie Lake and other people like that, but also small people that didn't even make it past the primary. But they were people that I believed were good people who deserved a shot. And in America, everyone has been selected, in my opinion, for the last 20 years, that there are mechanisms along the way in the election system that knock out good people that are who we want really to serve us, which are people that were good in their community, that had proven themselves as business leaders or as community leaders that helped, or, teachers or pastors or whatever, that brought goodness and positive and have good ideas and new ideas. And I realized that in America, at least, it's not left or right. There's a uniparty that is completely usurped by the billionaire, trillionaire class that run this nation, that are in cahoots with the world group, but also that the DNC is as bad as the RNC. They don't want anyone new, and I believe it's because of decades of crimes and cover-ups and blackmail and all of that neither side wants exposed. And pulling out some of those house of cards would expose it all. And that's my mission now, is transparency. And for the American people, I'm on a mission to have the American people have their own 12-step program for citizenship in America.
I mean, so much has changed since our last show, Mel, and the sentiment towards what's going on with who actually is in control. And where do you sit with that now? Because you're going out there fearlessly and educating people at grassroots. And I've seen you in action, and you've been really applauded, especially at I think it was the Truth About Cancer. That was the first one that we saw.
Oh, right. We had a good time there.
And then it was in Dallas. And you got a standing ovation, and people really do respect you, your level of research and what you stand for. But we spoke on the phone the other day, and so much has changed. And where we sit, who really is in control, do you think?
I believe that all of our nations have been usurped by, and I believe America right now is totally captured by what I call the global public-private partnership of the multinational corporations in cahoots with the banking cartel. I think their front groups are, see, a lot of people point to Davos. It's easy to point to Davos because they don't mind being in the front. I also think that Soros, Rockefeller, Rothschild, they don't mind being in the front either. I don't think that it's them. I think it's bigger than that. It is a global cult-like thing of what I call the Fourth Reich. But their groups are the globalist groups: UN, World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, UNESCO. We got the IMF, who goes into sovereign nations and then creates chaos with the CIA and NED and all these groups. Just regime change takes over nations. So, a lot of these little groups, but also the Bank of International Settlements, World Bank, IMF, and the central banking cartel. And where we are right now is these people are desperately trying to keep a hold of that. The whole Great Reset is because their model is failing, and they need to switch it up. And frankly, I am of the feeling that this is why I say the American people need a real, when you walk into a recovery meeting, for anyone that's ever been, the first step is to walk in and say, I have the problem. The second step is to acknowledge that problem is you. And I think that we, the people of the United States and of the world, need to look at what we are doing, what we've done, and what's been done in our name. Because I've really dug into, at least since the murder of JFK to today in America, which is what I talk about a lot, it's been no transparency. They use some nonsense called for reasons of national security. And I believe that the UK and the US are in cahoots on all of this. I honestly, I always say, people say, what? But I always say, yeah, we the people of America and the world were told the American Revolution that we won. I don't necessarily think that the king and the British felt that way. I think they went back to England. And I'm talking about the aristocracy, the billionaire, trillionaire class that have usurped all of our nations and stolen our money and our freedom and our land and our constitutions and our liberty. I believe that they're in cahoots. Like, I think that, like we talked about way back when, the City of London, which is the monarchy's banking Rothschild side, the Vatican and DC. I think that they have never been separate. And I think they're still not separate, as we're watching with their one world government, NATO, who's loyal to none of our nations, folks, getting together with the UK and the US, basically, starting World War III, when no person on planet Earth but the people sitting in the installed regime with Biden and the installed regime in the UK seem to really want. So we have to really, I think, at least as Americans and as citizens of the planet, start looking at what's happened over the last 20 years that's different. And I would say the war on terror. And what was the war on terror really about? And what happened? Because the way I look at it now is that multinational global public-private partnership I talk about all the time, and the top down from the BIS down through Chatham House and their counterpart here, Council of Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, you got, the Privy Council and all these people in your country. What are they doing? Because at the end of the day, if you go look, I did this on a show recently. If you pull out all the places that the UN and NATO and the US and UK have gone into for regime change under the guise of human rights, which they don't give us, or, aren't fighting for, or went in and to protect democracy, which has been the biggest lie of them all, you're going to see every one of these nations is left far worse. So what is really going on when they go into Syria or Somalia or Yugoslavia or Ukraine now 3 times, or, any of these nations? What's really happening, if you go look, is they go in there, the nation's basically destroyed, the regime's overthrown, elections become fraudulent, the people become debt slaves because the IMF comes in to fund them, the funding mechanism, or US aid, and then they become debt slaves. Next thing you know, all of their natural resources are taken by the multinational corporations and the bankers. All of their labor becomes basically, a lot of it, slave labor or worse. And what happens on top of that is that they become indebted for the rest of their existence until somebody comes in and liberates them, as I think in my case, Donald Trump tried to do here, from this cabal. And I think people are awake to it. And I think we all have to really realize that we have the power. They don't have the power. They don't have the authority. And every war, honestly, has been a banker's war. And many millions of people have died all over the world. What they've done to Africa and South America, under the guise of helping developing nations. Well, why have they been developing for 75 years and gotten nowhere if we've been doing this?
Yeah.
So, I think it's the Great Awakening is much bigger than I thought it was, but it's also much more specific than I thought it was too.
You mentioned the Council of Foreign Relations, and what's sort of striking me at the moment is the role of the media. Where is the media now, in your opinion? Because we are being breadcrumbed with information to slowly get the people that were sleeping to wake up to the stuff that we've been speaking about for 2 years. And now we're seeing narratives play out simultaneously in the media over the world. So what are your thoughts about where the media is right now?
Well, as far as, I spent 16 years in Hollywood, 20 years in that business, starting in journalism and media all the way to film and television. But I think that they, first of all, also have been usurped. Every media company is owned by the same people. We always have to, of course, acknowledge BlackRock and Vanguard's unbelievable power and control over everything, which needs to be looked at and dismantled as far as I'm concerned. But it is the same cabal at the very top, friends, that is controlling Wall Street, is controlling the war machine, is controlling the media, is controlling Hollywood. Now, what part the CCP or any other group plays is debatable. I know that they play a part. There's a multifaceted controlled demolition of all free societies, in my opinion, to take away and kind of like have us walk blindly into this digital prison that they've constructed around us that is pretty flip of the switch, ready to go with the satellites and with the smart city technology that we've all let usurp us, and the remote learning that's watching our kids, and the travel passports and all this stuff. COVID-19 was an opportunity that they created for themselves, and a lot of people are caught in that. But what I do think is more and more people are curious, way more than when we started talking, and they are open. And I keep saying to people, find common ground, because they're dividing us on purpose, especially in my country. This installed regime is as close
psychological psyops, the psyops that they're playing, divide
and the media, it's so guilty. So I don't know how these people sleep at night. I don't know how they live with themselves. What I have realized, I had a good friend who's a big director, famous director in Hollywood, that you would think nobody would ever like question or whatever, but he's slowly been red pilled, and certainly like reached out to me like a year and a half ago. Was like, "Is this you on this show?" I'm like, yeah. He's like, "What are you doing?" But now, like, we talk, and he just recently got a call from his giant agency, and they kind of said, "Turn it down on Facebook," and it's like, and he kind of said, "No, it's too late. You guys already lost the narrative." And they did. And I believe that these are all being defunded. They're losing money. Nobody wants their woke, manipulative, one world government, destroy our children to destroy our society BS anymore. But the mainstream media, again, they are totally controlled by this group that has the power. And again, a lot of these people, when I was young and I went to NYU for journalism, which probably I would be kicked out within the first 2 weeks now. But when I went there, it was all about, you had to have real sources. You had to, do your due diligence, all of that. What I think they hire now in the media, sadly enough, it all goes back to human resources and casting, are actors. These are puppets. These are actors that will do anything for fame. And no matter what, their consciences, when they go into it, are already a disaster, and they're easily manipulated. And that's why they pick them. And they pick very damaged people that they can control, that either have no conscience, or are sociopaths, or will do anything for fame, which is kind of the same thing. So media, I just do not believe that it has any power beyond the fringes. Like I keep saying, in America, we have like a middle line. I don't think there's a Republican or Democrat or left or right or anything. It's all BS. It's all an illusion of choice to keep us divided. But there are people in the middle, and then there's a good chunk here that are conservative, and a good chunk here that are, I call them now, because there's so many communists and democratic socialists of America, none of which should be in my government, but JFK Democrats, let's say. And they agree pretty much on everything except for maybe 3 issues. If we just start meeting in the middle on the common ground issues, we could heal this nation, and then in turn heal the world, and end all this endless war. The endless war is part of the machine, and it's all fraudulent. I'm telling you, all of these wars, if you trace them, who benefits? It's always the same billionaires, bankers, multinational corporations that meet in Davos and in Brussels, and that tell us that they're saving the world and they're protecting democracy or human rights, when actually it's the exact opposite.
Yeah. I mean, it is down to us, we the people, to get our power back. And this has been an exercise, although there's been a lot of despondency, Mel, over the 2 years, we've faced so much backlash from our own people. And of course, the media now, breadcrumbing with narratives such as, take a look at the Balenciaga narrative. That really woke some of my friends up. And then you've got Kanye West, you've got Woody Harrelson, like recently. I mean, it's just, there's loads of things coming out, which is supporting the things that we were talking about and all the subjects. So I think that it's had to happen in a process all the while we've been despondent. Rome wasn't built in a day. And, you know, if we've bombarded people from 2020, and what did we get? Cognitive dissonance.
Right.
So somewhere on the spiritual context, the psychological context, there has had to have a very necessary process. And I am in agreement. People are waking up, and I'm, you know, especially with the fact that we, the people, have to take our power back. We have to take that action and not get so caught up in the division, the divide and conquer,
Right.
and just keep persevering. But it comes at, like we spoke the other day, it comes at a cost. A lot of people's mental health has suffered.
The
And this
worst.
is one of the, this is one
Yeah.
of the things that you wanted to sort of speak about as well when we were speaking on the phone. You know, we've all been impacted at all sorts of levels, you know, good, bad, ugly, and you have to take time out. And you know, you've been going out there. What has been your experience going out on these tours and speaking to people?
My experience has been incredible. And this is what I talk about a lot because, again, Hollywood, the media, DC, you know, DC has a lot of think tanks. They really are writing the legislation. We don't even know who funds them, usually foreign countries. They have all these NGOs that are all run by billionaire trillionaires that are against this, against all of us, honestly. They're all fraudulent, they're fake. But on top of that, what we have to realize is that there's PR firms, psychologists, like Michael Aquino level mind wars, like industrial level, military level, psychological operations being played out, and it's just really that's the other thing that I find is that they're creating the idea that democracy means mob rules. We're a constitutional republic, so that every state has equal power, which is what that's about. But one thing, but the truth is that the democracy that they're painting isn't real. I'm fully convinced that not most of this nation agrees with 90% of what this installed regime is putting out there. Diversity, equity, inclusion is a fraud. It is socialism. It is dangerous for our entire nation and the world. It is a race to the bottom. It is divisive at its core. All of these marches, BLM, Antifa, you know, on both sides too, they're the divide and conquer strategy, making people think they're so different. You know, that nobody wants their kids groomed, LGBTQ plus, all of that. I have a lot of gay friends that are horrified by this. This is not, you know, usurped that an entire movement. What all the good that the gay community did for equality has been totally, they are not happy about it, and it's reflecting on them. Defund the police, all of this, it's in your nation too. All of this, like saying that a small group of minority, anytime that any of these countries, you can learn from history with communism or socialism, anytime that any government is saying we're going to help this small group, this 13% group at the, you know, and we're going to not help or exclude 65% of the people in America. The lie is, no, they're not. What they're going to do is expand government, put in new laws that are against usually our Civil Rights Act and other things, and take more control towards totalitarianism. Yeah. It's never to help the small group. That's a total lie. It is to take more freedom and liberty from the whole. And, you know, what I see is, so what we do is, you know, we've driven, we talked about it. I was still in touch with you regularly when we were flying, and I wouldn't fly with a mask. They were treating all the people.
I got kicked off a flight.
I know you did. I remember on our way to see me. Right.
I got kicked off.
Right.
That was crazy. But it was actually
not the
really
only one. They were acting like the Gestapo. I mean, it was like you were flying to Gitmo. These people were hungry. That's what happened to a lot of people. That's like Eichmann in Jerusalem. A lot of these people got high with power that they never had.
I know. I mean, I got kicked off and people were cheering them on to kick me off. I never felt so violated, but I was laughing and crying at the same time. But
I know I was in touch with you at the time. But listen, this has happened. It's my friend Anne that's happened to like 10 times. But you know, it's so funny. But what I do is I take my little app, my Hotel Tonight, and when I'm tired, we drive. We've been in 22 states.
wow.
So
you drive, folks. She drives everywhere.
America's so beautiful.
I'd love to see the mileage of your car.
Oh, it's so stupid. But America is so beautiful. I mean, it's amazing how many different landscapes and types of environments, and oh, it's just really a beautiful nation if you drive through. We're of the land we're allowed to be on. We should also be looking into what all this government restricted land is about, and what's behind there that could be helping humanity that they're hoarding. But that's a whole nother show. But so what I do is I go into whenever we're ready, and we'll stop in a town, and I check in, and I go to the front desk, and I say, where do the people that live in this town go? I don't want to go to like the best restaurant or this. I want to go where like it's like a mix of the actual people that live there. And what I do is I usually sit at the bar so that I can hear and have conversations. I have yet to once sit there at anywhere, and I've been in hundreds of places, from New Mexico to Michigan to Colorado to Memphis to Florida, wherever, Texas, everywhere. I have yet to sit at a restaurant, bar, or gathering place, coffee place, where the people around me and I couldn't find common ground on certain things that we all agree on. And so my mission is that. And what I try to do more than anything is have people use their own critical thinking skills, because we've been convinced not to think beyond the science, or think beyond well, that's what the government said. People are now way more curious, but I find the best thing to change hearts and minds and get people engaged and involved is to encourage them to use their own critical thinking skills. So usually I ask questions of where I think we can agree after talking for a little. And by then you're hugging, everyone agrees. I did a roundtable on this show Convo Couch not too long ago, and it was me, and it was like a committed communist that believes in that, and a libertarian, and a progressive liberal, and an anarchist.
What a mix.
And by the end of the show, everyone agreed fundamentally that our government in America is totally broken. Small government is the only way out of this. A lot of the agencies, Intel, all of that, are unconstitutional and shouldn't exist, or so flawed they need to be revamped. And most people agree with the Trump analogy that we have a swamp in DC that is not salvageable. And most people do agree, honestly, regardless of what the media and Hollywood and DC is telling you, that dividing black and white, diversity, equity, inclusion, defunding the police, what's happening in our schools, K through 12, the sexualization of our children, most people in America agree that all of that is horrible for this country. It's horrible for our children. It's horrible for our future, and it's horrible for the world. And so I think common ground is right now, it's easier to find common ground than anything. So I say the divisive issues, maybe we'll never meet in the middle on, but there's so many things that we agree on. We got to start focusing on that, because all the NGOs and the Open Society and the Arabella funded and the Tides and all these foundations, all they do is they use people's emotions, just like the UN, emotions, compassion, humanity. Yeah, and manipulate them into being operatives. Well, just like in Nazi Germany, those people that were the operatives of the Nazis thought that they'd be spared. They just ended up going to that chambers last. And that's where we are right now in the world, is we have to all wake up to, no, it's a plan, it's a plot, it's planned out. And we, the people of all of our nations, should stand together and dismantle it.
Well, there's been a lot of gaslighting, Mel, and we've had expectations. And I think a lot of people, like I keep saying, the despondency levels have been huge, and people stopped believing in Trump. And you just mentioned him. Where do you sit with the whole Trump train? I mean, you've been rubbing shoulders with General Flynn. You've met Trump a few times. Tell us a bit about your thoughts there.
Well, I still believe that Trump is the only person who has the guts, the will, and the resolve to take down the globalist regime cabal that I believe has usurped all of our nations. I do not believe he's alone. I have had problems, in my own journey since last I did shows about a year ago, which is I do not subscribe to a lot of the things that I initially did. A lot of the people that we met along the way, I started with you, so we were both like, we don't know what we're talking about, but
I didn't know what I was talking about at all.
We met a lot of people. I mean, great people, all over the place. A bunch of British people, a bunch of like Sasha Stone, all these great people all over the place, and you don't know who has intel. And I didn't know. I'm just some idiot from Hollywood that's like a screenwriter and, trying to tell people like that human child trafficking is real. And I know Epstein, that's real. But as it grew on, because of who I am, I dug in and did research. And I did at one point start to change my opinion on a lot of stuff that that I no longer believed, or at least I couldn't find evidence of it. So there's certain things that I had to back away from, and I didn't want to promote in my world because I couldn't find evidence that it was true. And I don't want people to be believing that, you know, there's white hats coming to save us, or the military is coming to save us, or that, you know, all of our debt's going to be wiped out. I don't have evidence of any of that. What I have,
right?
Yeah. And what I do, and honestly, God bless the people that are out there and believe that. I don't believe that Trump signed something and he's in control. I don't believe that. And that's from my own experience. And I've taken a lot of heat. I lost a lot of people. You know, I still get every day emails like, why aren't you doing shows with this person? What happened to that guy? Or the opposite. You're just one of them. You're one of the, you're disinformation. And I'm not. What I really am is I'm trying to find facts and truth. And there's so much that is true and provable that I feel is important. And I'm doing my part that way. Listen, if there is a plan, and if it's all happening, which I believe if there is, it's international, it's global, and it's geopolitical, which I always said. But if any of that is true, okay, and any of it, then great, you know, like, good. But I just see no evidence of it on my own, and that's when I decided. I actually was pulled aside by people a long time ago, almost a year, that kind of said, you know, you're really good at explaining this, especially the Constitution, Bill of Rights, the fraud that is the UN and all their tentacles, you know, stay in that lane. And those people encouraged me, and I have. So, you know, for me, it's really been, you know, in the beginning, you were very supportive. I was terribly attacked. And, you know, even like stupid idiots putting like videos up and all that. And it broke my heart because I didn't understand why, like, everything I'm saying, at least about my experience in Hollywood, is provable and true. My 20 years of working in the business, easily provable. So it was like, why are people? And then I realized that a lot of those people have fallen away or reinvented themselves, or, you know, it's very clear that they can't change paths, even if they have new information. So I just really try to stay.
I really admire what you've just said there, and thank you. I think on behalf of everyone here, because it's okay to like, we all started with one goal, and that was to expose what was happening to the children, and we were all on one camp. And as you start researching and digging even deeper, deciphering the information, we call it the truther community, Mel, but I prefer to call it the truth-seeking community. We're seekers of truth. We're speculating information that we are analyzing, that we've researched. But was I there? Were you there? I can't, you know, we have to separate the facts from fiction, and that I'm in agreement with you there, because so the sentiment has changed. But I also believe at a spiritual level, it's been very necessary for us to evolve within. To really take our power back, because what were we doing? We were outsourcing our hope and that whole fake hopium that was going out, and this is going to happen by a certain date. And I think it was a necessary exercise for us to even look at ourselves and say, hang on a minute, because, and don't get me wrong, there was nothing wrong with that. And I don't like discredit anyone that done it, because it came from a vulnerable place, the children, and we wanted to seek justice. We do. But as we've been calling it, the swamp is huge in the echelons of every institution and every fraternity. It is chaos. I mean, if you remember the Hampstead cover-up case, right, which is what woke me up.
About it last week.
I can't really say much, but I'm at the moment. But watch this space on that, and I've been speaking to that because that was the first case that woke me up. And the lady I've been speaking to, the courts do not support, they throw anything out to do with that case, which leads me to believe that there is still a copious amount of corruption in the echelons of every fraternity, and we have a long way to go. And this is the great awakening. It's the fight, because this stuff has been going on for many years. Are we going to expect it to just disappear overnight just because we had this movement, this expectation Trump was going to come back, he's the savior? No, what you've been doing progressively, you've gone inward and you've said, okay, I thought this, and now I'm changing my mind, and I changed my sentiment. what I say to people, this is human behavior and the psychology of how people act. Why did you have to go through that vitriol? That's crazy, you know? And then the sort of mental health that gets impacted as a result of that. We're human beings. We have our own personal lives, and we're trying to fight the good fight and figure out what the hell is going on. And yes, I think that's really, I'm really proud of you, Mel. Thanks.
Oh, I'm really proud of you too. You've changed a lot. You've grown and changed a lot too. And the truth is, what is, to me, it's just, if I can't prove it, and I really don't know, and I'm not taking anyone at their word that they have intel at all at this point, except for two people that I talk to that actually, I believe, really know what's going on, and I have personal relationships with them. And if they tell me, you know, go out there and keep doing what you're doing, stay on your track, do what you're doing, then I feel that I'm doing my part. And I also, every day, I pray to God just to let me do the next right thing. Let me find that the next right guest or the right topic to kind of hit right where I have to. Like when I go to these events, I don't just do Reawaken. I'm going to CPAC this week. I've been to Turning Point. I go to small. I'm doing a small event at like a retirement community in Florida to talk about the Constitution and Bill of Rights being destroyed. So when you go to these events, the best part for me is always the meet and greet and meeting people. And I know you see me do it. And what's so great, you give somebody a hug, you give them a little eye to eye contact, and you see them, they just, it's such a sense of relief to be like, oh, I'm not on defensive mode. And I want people to not, I was on defensive mode for so long, and I found my way to, you know, I'm just following the next right thing and trying to just be honest about who I am and what I know. And I think what you said before is the most important thing. And I have a lot of faith and hope that not just out of Hollywood, but out of the entire child trafficking, elite sex trafficking, elite child trafficking, things that you and I actually started on, me and you, that was our thing. I wasn't doing the drops and all that. I never did that. And I never claimed to have intel that about any of that. I just knew what I knew. But you and I really started there. I started because I had encountered Epstein from the time I was 19 years old and crossed paths many times, not just with him, with the whole cabal. And then you had it from your own world, and we both had experiences with the Hollywood crowd. So it was very easy for us to connect and say, no, this is true. This happens, and it's bad. And now, you know, my nation, I cannot believe people are not more up in arms. What Tom Homan said, I've been trying to do stuff with the border too. We've traveled a lot to border events. And I'll tell you, 300,000 children have disappeared into the interior of America since Joe Biden took over with no track and trace. Nobody's looking for them. Nobody's wondering where they are. A lot of them, finally, New York Times reported that a lot of them are in labor. You know, this is slavery in America right now. You're talking about 400 years ago. Slavery in America now is off the charts, and the world. It's worse than it's ever been. So, you know, it's a worthy cause, but I believe that a lot's going to break soon. There are some developments coming ahead. I saw that Les Wexner apparently has to finally sit for a deposition. And, you know, you pull out one card like that, or a couple cards. There's a bunch of other guys. There's going to be some disclosure, but it's going to connect to everything you're talking about too. It is at the very top, a very small cabal. I say it's probably, you know, the 300 is the key, but probably about 6,000 worldwide. And they're all, you know what, they're all cowards and they're frauds, and they have, you know, they live in their glass houses high on mountaintops. Like, I don't even believe that Rockefeller, Rothschild, Soros, you know, the guy, all the people in England, I don't even think they're the front line. I don't think they're the top of the heap. I think that the people that are really manipulating everyone don't want you to know who they are. So we can point at these people that are happy. You know, I was talking to Sean from SGT, and he was like, yeah, criminals like you to know that they're criminals. They go out there, you know, they want you to know, like serial killers, like finally, if nobody's catching them, they'll like put out a clue. They know they're going to get caught so they can take credit. So, you know, I just really believe that you and I will end up returning to where we started. And there will be a lot of success in our journey when it comes to exposing, ending, jailing, trying, and hopefully some of these people get death that were involved in the international child and human trafficking, not just the elite ring that actually preyed on children, but the ones that profited off of sending them all over the world.
I mean, it's just horrendous. It's sick, and it just goes so deep. I mean, it still to this day, it has had a mental impact on all of us, and we have to
Yeah.
stay focused. So much so that I couldn't even do shows after a while because um, our connection, there was this massive contrast. You know, you're a superwoman when it comes to the whole geopolitical arena, and I thank you for that because you know I would learn so much, and sometimes I'd forget I'm on a show with you because I'd be so engrossed with what you're saying.
Yeah,
And
but
then
you're
I'd
the
go to the
opposite.
comedy
You help
gallery.
me so much with you're an empath, and a lot
Yeah.
of times, especially in the beginning, when these nutcases were like making video or attacking me, it was like I couldn't talk to you fast enough because you're so comforting and so good, and you have done so much behind the scenes to help people heal, and you continue to, and that was the good thing. You know, that is the good thing. Now we're back. Well, then we'll be back more often, but yeah, for a year I really couldn't talk to anyone. I really just was on the road. I lost touch with many people I love, including you, and it was really just I was working, and then I was driving, and I was separating, and I was researching, but I was really trying to save America.
Yeah. Well, to do what you do and the time that you spend with all your research, I'm not surprised you couldn't do shows. Tell us about General Flynn. You just mentioned his name the other day. How is he?
He's awesome. He's worried about this nation. He's fighting on the front lines. He is you know, it's sick. The character assassination was so false. What these people, the motives behind it will come out. General Flynn is the best of the best we have in America and the world. He deeply loves this nation, but he also is loves the world. He's a man of faith and God, but most of all, I think he's somebody who wants transparency and truth and justice, and is working behind the scenes and every day, and will continue. And there's a lot more to come from General Flynn. You know, they tried to take him out every way they could, and they failed, and they're going to regret that because General Flynn, I believe, is key to not just healing this nation, but transparency and freedom and justice ahead. We are a captured nation right now. The American people have to understand our politicians have no power. The billionaire, trillionaire, multinational banking class runs this nation, runs the politicians, is bought and paid for or bribed almost everyone from judges to local politicians to every level of it. And I believe General Flynn is one of the people that will lead us to freedom, transparency, justice, and truth.
Yeah. Well, we've got how many months have we got left now? We've got another 10 months left till the end of this year, and 2024 is just it's going to go really quickly this year, like last year did. What's new? What's your journey now ahead, and where do you see us evolving in the next sort of 6 months to 1 year?
Well, what I say first and foremost is for everyone out there that's you know, waiting for the white hats or for the plan or whatever, I say, you know what the plan is? For you to be a white hat. And I think everyone right now
Listen to that. I love that.
yes, this came to me last week, and I thought I think I was on Sasha. I was on with somebody, and they were talking about, do you believe in the white hats? I said, I think we are the white hats, you know, and I think you are a white hat, and I think everyone that has a show, and whether you agree with them or not,
Exactly.
we are the white hats. The white hats in control means us. And you know, and if you're thinking you know, the white hats are doing this, well, what are the white hats doing? You do it in your local community. I think everyone, and when people say, well, what does that mean? Well, that means researching and writing and sharing and showing up and being involved and getting a community together and having fellowship amongst people that are local that you can actually influence. You know, General Flynn always says he can influence this many people, but everyone can influence a small group of people in their own family, their own area. People are open right now. They're curious. They know something's wrong in Ukraine. They know something's wrong in DC. They know something's wrong on the border. They know something's wrong with mental health and upside down, and us calling mental patients sane and sane people crazy. You know, people are seeing it. So I think that the awakening is going to continue. I do believe that God is showing his hand more and more by revealing more and more information to us about COVID, about when COVID hit, why COVID hit, what
Exactly. Look,
happened to all of our nations. And I really do believe people are being vindicated every day that have suffered, that we have watched. You know, I got kicked off of YouTube because I had on 3 of the big doctors in a row. I had on my last show was with Dr. Zelenko, and I woke up the next day and I wasn't even allowed to appeal on YouTube.
wow.
So I still haven't gotten Twitter back. But you know what? The truth of the matter is that I think that the awakening cannot be stopped, as we've always said, but more now than ever. And I think that the 30% right on the side of the middle of the right and the 30% on the side of the middle of their left are really coming to a place where they know it's an illusion of choice. And Norbin Laden said something really great that I liked. We talk about rhinos and stuff, and she said, "Inos, American in name only. Either you are American name only, or you are on Team America, and Team America cares about our country, our borders, language, culture, but also our relationship with other sovereign nations and respecting those nations." And going forward, I have a feeling that we will not only see a lot of transparency, but I believe that we will have a much more profitable, prosperous, peaceful future. And I think it's right on the other side. We just have to stay strong and engaged. Be a white hat. That's my thing. If you think the white hats are in control and the white hats are working behind the scenes, decipher what that means, what they're doing, and you do it. And then if we're all white hats, which I believe is what the white hats are, then we take back this nation, then we take back the world, and then the world becomes exactly what it should be, which is God's planet where everything is possible, and the future belongs to we, the people of this nation and the world.
100%. I think we're at the cusp of something happening within the next 6 months, because this treacle of information that's been served to all of us and our brothers and sisters on mainstream media, it is sparking up that curiosity, and people are like, no, I don't want to take the next, you know what, I'm not taking that, the third one or the fourth one. I've taken 2, and people are seeing the repercussions of that, Mel. But moving forward, this is, like I said at the start, this has been a necessary lesson for all of us. And given the trials and tribulations that you've had, what advice do you have for my audience today? You know, I know you have to go in a bit because you've got another show.
Well, first and foremost, you know, only do what you can do, because I was making myself crazy, and then you know, and it's like you can do a lot, but you can't do everything. And I think it's really important. I think people are suffering, whether they know it or not, psychologically. I think a lot of people have PTSD on a different level, on a massive scale. A lot of people have depression, anxiety, all this stuff. The pandemic was not just about shutting us down, ruining our economies and our businesses. It was also really about, demoralizing, dehumanizing, separating us, isolating us. A lot of the reactions now from people are coming from loneliness and a feeling of disconnection. Get out of your house, get into nature, limit your children's time online. We are being tracked and traced and surveilled. Make sure that you understand that giving your biometric data out of convenience to your phone or to Amazon or to Whole Foods or wherever is being shared, that you have power to not be caught up in the digital matrix they're creating. And most of all, you know, for me, it's I can't read a lot of comments. I wish I could, but you know, there's too many people trying to destroy us from within. And I just say, stay around positive people that support you and love you, and most of all, take that time, like you always talk about. You know, take that time to go inside, and even if you think you don't know how to meditate, you know, you gotta separate for as much time as you need and really center yourself. And right now is the time to be on your A game with health and mind, body, and spirit, really putting yourself first, because the battle ahead is not going to be easy. We are fighting literal demons that are losing.
It's not over. Yeah.
And they're losing. The Great Reset is not working out for them. The Fourth Industrial Revolution is exposed as digital slavery, track and trace concentration camps all over the planet. It's not going to work out, you know. But again, we are fighting caged animals that are at their end game, and you know, armor of God as usual. And also just surround yourself with people that love you, and don't try to win over people who don't. It's just absolutely not worth your time.
We've got Catherine in the house, and Catherine and I were speaking about you. Catherine, she absolutely adores you, and I relayed your message to her. And this is a spiritual war as well, folks. You know, we have to understand the many layers that come with what we're fighting for, and this is where we always kind of gravitated towards each other. You educated me on so much, and on the spiritual, intuitive compass that I feel I'm aligned to. It's just been a roller coaster, but it's how we, you know, emerge and rise as phoenixes from this, and to stay strong, because we have to understand the spiritual context to everything that's happened. This is good over evil, and the evil was huge, and it's still attacking people if you allow it. So I always say we can talk about it. Oh, it's a spiritual war, a psychological war, but really shun the spiritual side of things and not actually address it or not encompass what it means. But it's about getting our power back and not giving our power away. And of course, all the things that you've said, spiritually and mentally, it's so important to stay strong. And I have literally had my trials and tribulations in this. You know, the attacks were crazy. The psychic attacks were crazy, which would just make this whole movement unbearable. But we have a light within us that perseveres, and that determination to continue, and which is why a year and a half back we're here, Mel, and I admire everything that you're doing. And you know, I've met both you and Rob. You're just wonderful people and so much fun.
I know. I was just gonna say, you know, before we leave, I can't wait to hug you in person again and have some dinner and dance like we did last time I saw you. It's been
I made
like,
Yeah,
we had so much fun. But every time I've seen you, but we have to sometimes we have to go in and take care of yourself. And like you said, when the spiritual attacks come, sometimes just shutting off. I just focused on writing, research, doing interviews that I thought would inspire, educate, enlighten. But now I'm at a place where, you know, I'm excited to be back with you, and I'm excited to be back with other people. And I feel like the spiritual battle also includes supporting other people that are down and giving them a hand up. And right now, you know, rising tide lifts all boats is how I kind of feel about everything. So stay around positive people. Do not get sucked into any drama. Do not get sucked into the division. It's all a lie. I think we've been also very infiltrated by very crazy psyops. So, you know what, take what you can from everyone.
Movement, there's been a lot of infiltration in this our movement.
Well, you got to take what you can.
Exactly.
From everyone. Everyone's got a nugget or something. If they don't, shut them off. It's not working for you anymore. Go a different direction. I had to. It was hard. I lost a lot of followers and stuff. But you know what? The good people will find you, and your message will get out there. And I'm just very grateful to be back with you. You're going to be on my show when I get back from CPAC. And I love you very much, and your work and everything you've done. And I can't wait to have you on so that you can catch up.
Talk about REDOX. Just everyone that's watching, it's a one-day special today that we've got 30% off. I think the code is there at the bottom, one day 30. So that's for the next 24 hours. I think Monica's done that for me. But again, it's been solution focused for me. You know, like I just stepped away from the whole geopolitical arena and started doing my, you know, creating my own lane. And it led me to the subject of autism and doing my stuff with Ayurvedic topicals. So look, Mel, I cannot wait to come on your show. Everyone, I may take this off. I'm going to keep it on for 24 hours because we have spoken about stuff. And of course, Mel's name, you know, she's been heavily censored on YouTube, and I will have it on my Rumble and keep it on my backup channel. So I just want to acknowledge everyone who's been here. Of course, Mel K's in the house, so it hits a huge audience. Mel, we love you. We appreciate you, and you've just been extraordinary in this journey. I know you've got another show. So with that said, everyone, thank you so much, Mel. I absolutely.
And I want to just say one more thing. I put up it's free resource page at the melkshow.com. Please go do your own research. There's so much information there. Empower yourself, be brave, stand up, speak up. We're going to take this country and this world back to God and the good people. So arm yourself with information. That's all. Thanks.
So it's at the Mel K show. You can see it on the banner there and on the description below where you can find Mel. That's amazing that you've done that.
So it's free. Go look and follow the money. Follow the money. It's the same 10 guys that are destroying our lives. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate you being here. Lots of love. Lots of love. Thank you, everyone. Isn't she amazing? So just a final word from me. Wow, that just felt brilliant, seeing Mel after a while. But yeah, one day special for RE Detox and autism support. Make sure you go and check it out on the website. But it's been awesome having all of you here. I am so grateful. Monica, thank you so much for supporting the chat. And yeah, what a great show. Mel is amazing and so inspirational. I'll be back soon with some great shows lined up this week and next week. So stay tuned and sending you all a lot of love.